What is up, all you individuals out there? It's me, full-time anime man, and I'm finally here with part 3 of What If Deku Had the Project Power Pills. But before I get started with this video, I just want to thank everyone that still supports the channel, people who are still being very patient for all the other what ifs to finally come out and finish. I just want to thank every single one of you if I can, but I only have a short list of names right here. I just want to thank Gnome D, drawing channel. I want to thank Zorag Art. I want to thank Natasha Common. Sorry if I pronounced your names wrong. Ventus Derek Nova, Ali, Sidere, sorry, Michael Fink Jr., and Jack Freeman. I just want to thank all of you, but most importantly, I really want to thank you, Cenis Dragon, or Jurassic Kid. You honestly go by many names. Out of everyone, you kind of support the channel the most, and I understand that you've been waiting for a long time for What If Deku was in the Dino Squad, and I promise, we're gonna get to that. It's people like you that inspire me to want to make these stories, and, it's just for that I went ahead and made you this. This is a tumbler with a few dragon tattoos on it. Since, I saw your channel a few times, you really do like dinosaurs. I really do hope that you have a successful career in being an archaeologist, if that's what you plan on being when you grow up. But this is just my way of saying thank you. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into the story. This is What If Deku Had the Project Power Pills, Part 3. Hope you all enjoy. Where we last left off, Izuku had decided to withdraw his application from UA when All Might nearly called him Manimal, of which Manimal was being targeted by pro-heroes, corporations, and police officers. Izuku felt like he shouldn't be held down just because he breaks the law and actually does some good at night where the bad things really happen, especially while these heroes are getting their beauty sleep. One night, Izuku saw in an alleyway that there was human trafficking going on, and he swoops in to take the captors head on. Izuku quickly took one of them down, and then he turned his attention to the last one standing, but the man grabbed one of the girls and used her as a hostage, demanding that Manimal let him go, otherwise the girl gets it. The girl screams for his help, and Izuku stands there and decides to use this new ability that he didn't know a tiger could do until he did his research. He discovered that tigers can roar at a low frequency that can paralyze their prey. Izuku roars, and the man holding the girl starts shaking and yet feels frozen with fear. He was stunned. The girl quickly moved out of the way, and Izuku ran in to finish the guy off. Izuku approaches the girls, and they're kind of fearing, they kind of fear of him, until Izuku asks them if they're okay, to which one of them said, yeah, they're fine. The moment was interrupted when a loud bang can be heard at the garage door. It opened, and a man who appeared to be 6 feet tall, and his body was like that of a bodybuilder, but if I had to give a more specific description, he looks like Kingpin from The Amazing Spider-Man. He enters. So, you're the punk that's been getting my men arrested. You've been a real pain in my neck for the past few months. Izuku thinks to himself, who the hell is this guy? He's huge. He must have a sort of strength enhancement quirk. I only have 4 minutes left of this power. If he's going to fight me, I need to finish this quickly. Izuku says out loud, who the hell are you? The two begin to circle each other, and the man says, my name is Serge, and I run this town. And frankly, someone's been telling me that I had a pest problem. Some furry has been interfering with my plans and getting my men arrested. So I decided to hunt you down myself. I heard all this commotion going on and came to check it out, and here you are. I heard you had the abilities of all sorts of animals and even insects. So, I plan to squash the cockroach. The two men stop circulating each other and get into their fighting stance, but before the fight begins, Izuku tells Serge a few interesting facts about cockroaches. 1. They're very fast. 2. If you see one, there's 4,000 of them living in your walls. 3. They can live for days without their heads. And 4. They're hard to get rid of. They both then charge in at each other, and Izuku punches at Serge's fist, and both of them are at a draw. While he was distracted, Izuku looked at the girls and told them to run. They hurried out the open garage door, and soon it was just Izuku and Serge. Serge says, "Wow, I gotta say, no one can withstand even one of my hits. You're pretty strong for a little itty-bitty kitty." Izuku growls at the statements and he gives Serge an uppercut, which causes him to fly back and hit the ground very hard, causing the entire building that they were in to shake violently. Serge gets to his feet and then he spits out his blood. Now we're talking. The two's fight would continue, and things would get brutal. Izuku was getting his fair share of hits, but Serge's punches were like he was getting hit by a wrecking ball head on. Things got intense. To one point, Serge got the upper hand on Izuku and would grab him by his ankle and would repeatedly slam him into the ground to a point where he actually made a crater. Izuku spits out a few of his own blood and it would just get very bloody. He was barely breathing and Serge decided to stop to catch his breath. "I gotta say, kid, you put up a good fight. It's been a long time since someone actually made me this sweaty while fighting. And you know what? I got a proposition for you. How about, instead of saving this city and serving under the corrupted cops and these quote-unquote hero corporations, you work for me instead? I can promise you a lot of money and protection. You could actually do something for this town. So what do you say?" Izuku would start to move, trying to get to his feet, but would have great struggle doing it. Eventually, he stands up, and blood rushes down the side of his forehead and onto his face, and he looks into Serge's eyes and says, "Never." The two would intensely stare at each other, and suddenly a light of red and blue started surrounding the building they were in. They look away from each other and then back. And Serge says, "You know what? You just need a little more time to think about it. Get back to me if you ever change your mind." He tosses Izuku a card with his number on it and says to call him. He then unveils a car underneath a sheet and he gets inside the car. And as he's about to close the door, he says, "I'll leave you to take care of these cops and pro heroes. But for now, see you around." He starts the engine and he rams through the concrete wall and onto the streets where a few police officers were chasing after him. Izuku stood there stunned, but he is immediately drawn back to reality when a group of armed police officers and pro heroes enter the building. He quickly jumps up and looks at his watch. He sees that he only has a few seconds left of his tiger power. He then takes a tiger pill, but by accident, he drops another pill onto the ground, but none of the police officers seems to have noticed. While the men searched around with flashlights at the end of their guns, Izuku was trying his best to quickly head towards the exit, but being as quiet as possible. But he forgot to turn off the timer on his watch. It beeped, and they all looked up to see a tiger just staring down at them. Izuku was forced to fight the officers. One of them hit Izuku with a taser gun, but Izuku knocked the man out. Others tried to directly shoot Izuku, but he was lucky enough to dodge, and he headed towards the exit. When he got outside, the building was surrounded by cars and helicopters and police officers and pro heroes. Even Endeavour was there. Izuku looked around for a way out, but All the lights were on him, and weapons were drawn. One of the officers told Izuku to get on the ground, and one of the police officers told Izuku to get on the ground. Izuku, feeling like there's no way out, remembers a secret he had up his sleeve. He slowly reaches towards the back of his head, and just behind his collar was a mantis shrimp pill. He was then instructed to get on the ground. As he moves his hands downwards, he then takes the pill secretly. The cops move in closer, and Izuku then pushes himself upwards, and then, with a few feet in the air, he then batters his fist back and punches the ground with all of his might. The surrounding dust around him and the earth started crackling, and it just caused a sort of non-devastating explosion, but like it blew everyone and everything back, including the helicopters, which that would have ended badly for him if it actually crashed. Izuku seized his opportunity and he climbs the building and does a rooftop running, but other heroes not are hot on his tail, and soon he is cornered and is forced to fight against Death Grip, Mount Lady, Kamuri Woods, and Endeavour himself. With the news helicopter's lights shining on him, he gets in a fighting stance. First, he gets a warning from Kamuri Woods, warning him that if he doesn't surrender willingly, things will get ugly. Izuku responds back saying, "Why should things get ugly? What have I done that was so bad that it needed all of you to come after me?" Endeavour speaks up. "You know what you did. The law states that people are not allowed to use their quirks in public. You've been violating that law for the past few months now, and you've been using your quirks to seriously injure people, nearly to death. It's time to stop." Izuku speaks back, saying, "Those people have tried to kill me, whether they were trying to commit a heinous crime, bring harm upon others, store robberies, or grand theft auto. The thing is, I don't go out at night on these nightly patrols and seek trouble. The trouble always finds me. While you're all in bed getting your beauty sleep and all that, I'm actually out here at night risking my life, making sure that these streets are safe. And this is the thanks I get? You know, after doing this for a while, I've come to learn something about you heroes. You are all in this for fame and money. You thrive off of the attention, but nobody is a bigger show-off than Mount Lady over there, who likes to use her feminine charms to get things for free, and likes to show off her ass after she takes down a villain." Mount Lady did not take kindly to those words. She then grew in size and then grabbed Izuku, raising him up to her face. And she says, "Hey, I am not a show-off. How dare you speak of me like that?" Izuku smirks, and he says, "Gotcha." He then drives his teeth into Mount Lady's hands, and she drops him while saying, "Ouch." As he falls back to the ceiling of the building, he then batters his fist back, and with all of his might, he then punches the roof, and it causes the entire building to collapse. Now, this building was abandoned, so nobody was living in it. With all the commotion going on and everyone trying to regain their composure, Izuku managed to escape. This angers Endeavour, and the fire around his body expands out in anger. We then cut to Izuku in an empty alleyway, and was able to catch his breath. That was too close of a call. They almost had me. Oh man, I have to get stronger when using the mantis shrimp. I broke both of my arms. Izuku struggles to reach into his pocket and pulls out an axolotl pill, but he had to wait until his previous powers fade away. He makes it back home and decides that he's going to take a small break from doing the nightly patrols, because now the pro heroes and the police are on their A game in search of Manimal. It's the next day after the incident. Izuku went ahead and withdrawed his application from UA. and apply for a more normal high school. Inko would be wondering why he would not want to go to UA. It was his dream, and now he doesn't want to go anymore? To which Izuku would simply say that UA wasn't exactly what all he thought it was, and that he just wants to grow up, quote-unquote, normal. It's the next day, and Izuku got a text from Travis saying that he came in 5th place, and would tell Izuku that he's going to Class 1A, to which Izuku would congratulate him, but would also tell him that he's not going to UA. Travis would ask why, but Izuku would just say that it's for personal reasons. A few days would pass, and Izuku would get a knock at his door and open it. Katsuki Bakugo. What do you want, Kachan? He shows him his results at the exam, and then he scrolls through, and then comes across Deku's results. And Izuku came in 4th place. In 1st place, excuse me. How did you do it? Izuku shrugs his shoulders and says, just got lucky, I guess. Bull crap. You were supposed to be quirkless, so how did you manage to get 130 points? Izuku sighs and says, if I told you that there were rescue points and I saved people, would you leave? Bakugo grins his teeth and he says, you're hiding something, and I plan on finding out what it is. I suggest you watch your back. Izuku closes the door and sighs. A few days later, Izuku attended his new high school and almost would immediately grow accustomed to it. After school, Izuku would get a text from Travis saying that today was a nightmare because their teacher was the eraser hero Shota Izawa, and that he planned on to expel the person that came into last place for this exam that they had him do for their quirks. But to find out that it was all a lie so that everyone would do their best. Izuku would text back saying, well, I'm glad you made it out of there. Over at a forensics lab, a group of people were examining this strange-looking thing that was found where Manimal and Serge fought. The head of the police, Kenji, hard to pronounce his last name, came in and asked what this thing was. The forensics team say that this thing, they never seen it before. Wherever it came from, it had to have been from outer space or something. They lean in closer and Kenji says, just what the hell are you? We slowly zoom in towards a power pill with the silhouette pattern and with the silhouette of a tiger in the center of it as we fade to black, and then reappear. Izuku was in the middle of working out just about a few minutes before heading to school. His mom knocked on the door and entered, wanting to tell Izuku that she couldn't help but notice that something wasn't right. But Izuku assured her that everything was fine. Inko sighs and says, son, why are you lying to me? What do you mean? I'm not lying to you. What's going on, Mom? Inko then reaches to her side and she pulls out a black bag. I found this in your closet while I was searching for laundry. And I found this shirt. She shows him the shirt that he was shot on the second night of his patrolling. It was covered in dried blood and the bullet holes on both sides of his shirt. Izuku about to say something, but Inko says, hang on, I also found this on the side of your bed. She pulls out a power pill, and Izuku's face goes to shock, and he stutters a few times before saying something properly. He does not lie to his mom, and he tells her straight up that he was shot one night. Obviously, Inko would be shocked by this, but how are you okay right now? She would then start to check around Izuku's body looking for the bullet hole, but Izuku would calm her down and explain that the power pill... he explains the power pill, telling her that these pills can grant him sorts of powers for 5 minutes. Inko is not very fond of her son using what looks like drugs to gain power. She angrily looks at Izuku and expresses how disappointed she is and demands that Izuku stops using these pills. But Izuku would tell her that he can't. Well, I think it's best if I show you. He would then grab a tiger power pill and he would take it and show her one more secret. He would then change into his Tiger Man form and Inko's mind blows. She then puts two and two together and discovers that her son is Manimal. You're Manimal? Yes, I am. Inko paces back and forth for a few minutes and then she says, well, we'll talk about this later. But for right now, you should get to school. Izuku tries to talk to his mom, but she just insists that he leaves. Izuku then leaves his mom, but then waits one more minute to let the tiger power pill wear off. Soon, after school, Izuku was walking his way home when he got another text from Travis, saying that All Might was their teacher for the day, and it was so awesome. He also goes on to tell him that there was also a test called Heroes vs. Villains, and that he and another girl named Ochako Uraraka, to which Izuku met her, was the good guys, while Bakugo and another student called Tenya Ida was the villains. And when it was over, Travis managed to keep Bakugo at bay while he helped Uraraka claim the bomb. Izuku would comment about how proud he is of his success. When Izuku got home, there was a suitcase in front of the door. Inko came to the door and told Izuku that he had to leave. She refused to let someone who breaks the law and abuses drugs live in her house. I'm sorry, son, but you have to leave. Izuku would plead with his mom to reconsider, but Inko's mind was already made up. She would tell Izuku that she left him a few bucks along with a few of his belongings. Izuku would start to tear up as he would start walking down the street. He thinks about what he's going to do next. I need to find a place to rest and just relax for a while. With his suitcase dragging behind him, the young boy made his way down to the poorest area of his town. He would soon walk underneath the bridge of the city highway. Underneath it was different colored tents and a few pails with people's belongings inside of it. The young boy casually walked in the tented space and greeted everyone he passed by until he found an open spot for himself. He sat down, using his suitcase as a seat, and thinks about what he's going to do next. Okay, it's probably best that I buy a tent for myself. Suddenly, Izuku was approached by a man with very long gray beard and mildly dirty clothing. Excuse me, young man, what are you doing here? Oh, my mom kicked me out because I did something bad. The homeless man then said, oh, well, you think you're going to be okay out here? Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll probably just buy a tent and just blend in. Oh, okay, wait here. The man then walks away and then comes back with a brand new tent. Izuku tries to decline, but the homeless man insists that he takes it. Izuku thanks the man and they exchange names, with the homeless man being Haru. The two would set up the tent, and soon midnight comes. Izuku and Haru are chatting for a long time, and Izuku would ask Haru how he came to be the way he is. Haru's face turns sad, and he tells Izuku that it's a sensitive subject, and that he'd rather not talk about it. Okay, I'm sorry. Haru then wished Izuku a good night, and Izuku went into his tent and tried to sleep the best he could. The next day, Izuku woke up and remembered that he still had school to go to. He had to change his morning routine now that he was on his own. Instead of brushing his teeth in the privacy of a bathroom, he had to brush his teeth in public and rinse it out with a bottle of water. As for showering, he didn't have much time to think about that. He had to get his way to school. The young boy then told his friend Haru where he was going and asked him to keep his belongings safe while he was gone. When school had ended, Izuku made it back to his resting spot. He received another message from Travis telling Izuku about the press getting onto school ground and causing trouble. When Izuku finished his conversation, he thought to himself that maybe he has spent enough time away from being Manimal, and tonight might be best if he goes out and do some nightly patrolling again. A few hours passed, and just as the sun was on the horizon of setting, Izuku dug deep into his suitcase and saw something. Huh? Oh, what's this? He pulls it out, and it reveals to be a jumpsuit. I don't remember putting this in my bag. Who put this in my bag? Inside there was a note from his mother saying that she had made this for him whenever he was going to go to UA. And even though he's been breaking the law, she is proud of her son for wanting to do what's right and make a change, and that she loves him. A tear runs down Izuku's face, and he wipes it. Thanks, Mom. He then puts the suit on and sneaks out to patrol. He waits for anything to happen, and then he comes across a couple in an aggressive argument. Izuku watches closely, and soon things get physical. The man backhands the woman, and she falls to the ground. Izuku is considering ignoring this. After all, they're adults, they'll get over it. It wasn't until he started threatening the girl in a threatening tone. Izuku keeps watching, and suddenly the man grows in size and he starts smashing things near him. Izuku knew that things were about to get ugly, and so he takes a tiger pill and leaps into action. Izuku gives the mutated man a warning to stop, otherwise he's going to have to put him down. To which the man roared at Izuku and lunged at him. And Izuku fights the aggressive boyfriend and tells the girl to run, and it's just him and the man. Their battle intensifies, with them smashing each other into random objects and buildings, while the man had a few bruises while Izuku was just breathing heavily. The two readied themselves for a round two, and then suddenly the man's back was exploded. This gets Izuku off guard. What the hell was that? The large man then falls to the ground, and it reveals a spiky-haired blonde with explosions coming out of both of his hands. Izuku sighs out of annoyance. Bakugo. And that's going to do it for this episode of What If Deku Had the Project Power Pills. Now, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you've made it to the end of this video, consider yourselves #blessed, and I hope to see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.